Hey, what is going on? Welcome to the Sync Producer Spotlight. My name is Jason Dowty. If this is your first time ever watching one of these shows, what this is I am part of a community called the Sync Producer Hub. It's run by Anthony Clint Jr., and we go through and support each other every day as we try to submit our music to music libraries, get our music placed into TV and film, and all of those kinds of things. So I wanted to, we just wanted to set up a show where we could shine a spotlight on a member every couple of weeks. Because in the community, we're all just pictures and text. So it's good to like see people live on video, hear a little bit about their past, what brought them into music in the first place, all of those types of things. So today we have Zimzadaah music. And the reason I wanted to bring Zimzadaah on is a couple reasons. Number one, she has the best taste in music. Like every time she posts in the community about a new artist or something like that, I'm like, ooh, who is that? Right. And also, there was a very interesting post that she posted recently about AI and AI proofing your music. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that. And also, like, I joined I took one of Clint's courses and joined some of the lives back in 2022, and I recognized her name from, like, back in those days. Turns out she's been following Clint for a long, long time. She's proud of the progress that he's made and things like that, so we're gonna dive into that as well. So, with no further ado, let me bring on Zimzadaah, finally. Hey, hey, how's it going?
Hello, hello.
All right. Well, welcome to the Sync Producer Spotlight. The spotlight is on you. When we were talking before the show, I know you're not somebody that necessarily loves the spotlight because you said you like to work more in the background.
I do.
Um,
I do.
but we want to hear all about you. We want to hear about your musical. Let's start with the past. Like, what got you into music? Who are some of your influences, and what started you down this road?
Well, first off, I know people are like, my name. So that's my, stage name that I'm going by, Zimzada, my producer name. I was born Angel. That's my name is Angel. But I chose Zimzada because I come from a church background and I wanted something to really signify me. So Zim is Hebrew for my music, my praise, and Zada, which means prosperous, fortunate and prosperous. So if you put those together and then I, played around with the spelling, and here you go, Zimzada. So I wanted to, be different, and I have this thing with Z's for some reason. So, yeah, and so people call me Zim for short or anything like that. So I'm cool. So that's where the name came from. I wanted, just to be different and stand out. Musical background. Since I was 10 years old, I think a little bit before that, I play by ear. So, I played the commercials that came on TV. I had a little Casio keyboard, and, I would just tinker around. I would just, copy what I heard. So I'm a good copy what I hear. So, I got the little keyboard, and I would tinker around with them. And my first little, thing that I remember doing is playing, Sheila E. Glamorous Life. Dun, 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 'cause they're all black keys. I was just like, "Oh." So I would play that all the time. We had a piano in the house, and so, I was engulfed around music. I have 2 older sisters, and, they would listen to music all the time. My father listened to music. My mother, sung in church. So I come from a, singing background and all the things. My parents put me in, piano lessons at the age of 10, and, I don't reading music is not my strong point. But I know the foundation. So my music teacher, I was good again. I used my ears. She picked up on it late, but I would always ask her to, "Can you play it for me first?" And so she goes, "Okay, yeah, go ahead." And she would play it for me. I would study where her hands were on the piano. I would memorize it. So I memorized music. that way. I would play it after her. She caught on when I was sitting there, what I was looking at the sheet, but I was remembering the music because she played it before, you know, so that I could hear it. And she goes, "Are you reading the sheet music?" And I'm like, "No, ma'am, I'm not." So, "You have to read the music." "I know, but I don't want to. I can play it though." And so, that's how I've become to, all these years is just I have this philosophy, I copy what I hear. So, grade school, I was in band, I was in color guard, I played the clarinet. I have no clue why I picked the clarinet. I was just like, because 'cause I'm a drummer, in my just I like beats. I like the beat. I would beat on the table. Back then, you beat on the table at lunch, and I had cousins, and we were always beating. Had no clue why I chose the clarinet. Nonetheless, so I kept going and band, jazz band, all through school and junior college, um, and everything like that. So I would continue to play, and fast forward to church. um, I would play in church. I started out playing for the little kids on it would be on second Sundays. And so I would teach them their parts. I would listen to because back then it was the 90s. And so you had Kirk Franklin was very popular.
Mhm.
All of his things would be out. So we did all, those songs like that. And so I did that, and then the musician left, and then I got shifted to the organ. I'm like, yeah, okay, here we go. And so I played the organ. I never would use my feet because I'm like, that's a lot of coordination that I don't have. I don't have that. So I would because I'm a keyboard player. I'm a piano keyboard player. And so I would play the bass with the left hand on the top, and then I would play all the things, the chords over here with my right hand. I
Mhm.
never would play the shifting of the feet for the bass. I'm like, that's not for me. It's not for me at all. So, but yeah, and I became now then, worship leader and did all the things, audio, microphones, all the things. So, my background is in church, and then I listened to a lot of music,
Mhm.
meaning that the radio, because back then we had the radio stations, and then we had the tape cassette players, and then we had the tapes, and so I am from Celine Dion to to like like I posted the other day to Yeba. The only thing that I don't listen to on a regular basis is country. I'm not a fan of country. I like some country songs. I was in Shania Twain and all of that good jazz, but I'm not a listener of country music. But it's good. But so I have a pool of lots of types of music. My favorite composer is John Williams. The I just listened to the whole Superman, the 1970s Superman, Christopher Reeve, the soundtrack, the original score. I just got to
Mhm.
listen to that the other day just because I love John Williams and how he, composes and puts and his sound when you hear it, of course, especially in Jurassic Park. And I'm
Mhm.
just like, I love John Williams. He's like my all-time favorite. And then Hans Zimmer is, kind of like comes in second. And so yeah, that's how that's my past, my background is I've just since birth engulfed with music, and it started out at home with my sisters and with my parents and with church.
That's amazing. Wow. So from gospel to John Williams,
Mhm.
that's a wide spectrum.
Oh no.
What got you? Hold on. Before we move on, I do want to say what's up to everybody that's in the chat real quick. Michael McConnell's music, and
MC.
Ray, Matthew Scott, and Janelle Costa, and Rich Rosen, and Trayvon Harris, and Matthew Scott, and let's see who else. KJ is in the house. Listen with Naomi's in the house. Jason Revels. I think I already said Rich Rosen, but I'll say it again. All right, cool, cool, cool. Um, just a quick question, like with that diverse musical background, it sounds
Mhm.
like you were born to do music. You were just coming out. being able to play by ear, figuring out where the hands go, all of that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. And then you developed musically, you became a choir leader. When did you find Clint and get interested in sync music? Like, when did you start down that path?
Um, it started it really started, I got GarageBand,
Hmm.
and I started playing with the loops. I'm like, "Oh, well, this is nice. Okay," because I was a, I was a house head. I listened to lots of house music. So I was like, "Oh, okay." So I started, putting things together, dealing with GarageBand. And so I have no clue how Clint came into the picture, but all I know is I'd heard him say about making money with your music and sync licensing and with TV and film. I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting." So, I began to follow him in his YouTube, you know, all the things that he would, talk about. And I followed him religiously. I know there were lots of people, and there still are lots of people who did it, but I would always come back to Clint because he made it simple. He made it simple to understand. He made it simple to grasp the idea that it is really possible to create music and have it, on TV and film. So, and I this was in 2019. It was around 2019, right before COVID. And of course, when COVID hit, everybody was inside. Well, you had nothing else to do. So you just, I was following everything. I was just grasping all of this information and, thinking that, with loops. And then I'm like, oh, later on, I was like, oh no, no, I can't use Apple loops. Okay. Well, moving on. Let's do something else. Because I was thinking then, as I got better at, the concept of what it actually is, I'm like, oh, okay. So I got a mini keyboard and, and things, and I got contact. Didn't really was still piecing things together. Had no clue what I was doing, but I was just like, oh, contact. Okay. And I was thinking, oh, okay, I'll just get some instruments and put them inside and play. And I'm like, oh, no, no, no. These are MIDI. Oh, that's a VST. Oh, okay, yeah. So I got rid of one MIDI controller and got the contact one, the complete,
Hmm.
I got the 49 key because I only have space for, I don't have space for 88 keys. So I got the 49. It's like, oh, that's what that is. Okay. And so once it clicked, I'm like, oh, okay, this is I have to create, not just place loops here and there. It's like I gotta play. No problem. No problem. So I just, kept listening and kept following. And I finally like got up the courage enough to submit a music that I did. It was my first one. I was nervous as heck. I was like, oh my God, he's probably gonna, oh my goodness. The thing about him though is like, even though, the music might not be to up to par 100%, he always gives a positive outlook on what it is.
Hmm.
Whatever the music is, if it's not, it's like that's okay. It's might not be up to par now, but if you keep working, it will be up to par. So you just have to keep working at it. And so I really like that about it and about him that he just, wasn't downing it because I've seen some, producers just like this is trash and then,
Yep.
tell them that. But, for those that are, in this on this journey, it's important to, just to stay optimistic and positive about it. So I just kept listening, kept, I built up my, you know, I threw a lot of money out the window, of course, with the gas. Thanks, MC, with the with gas and with the plugins, and they look all so nice, and you keep buying them and everything like that. So, but yeah, that's how it came about, and I submitted my first track, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I'm like, oh, okay, just little tweaks here and there. So, for those of us that are on this journey and that are doing it, nothing it's not as bad as you think, because sometimes we could trash our own stuff,
Hmm.
we can put it just like, "Nah, it's trash," and then somebody else heard it, it's like, "No, no, just tweak it a little bit." Just, maybe turn the bass down, maybe, not so much of the sub. So that's how it came about. It was just I felt my way through it. Even, life is lifing and, but I still come back to, this area and I just keep the momentum going. Of course I'm not, where I really want to be, but I am where I am because I keep going. I keep, the hub is has become really, really a good place to be right now, and with everyone there, everyone has a starting point, you
Mhm.
know? Everyone has a starting point. So you just have to keep going. You just have to keep putting your stuff out there, keep learning. There is so much still to learn and put it towards your work. So, but yeah, and then now what's 2025, I'm like, okay, I have everything I need to make music. I need to stop buying things. Oh my god, it's just I need to get I've unsubscribed to like 3 or 4 newsletters of, companies I follow, and they
Mhm.
always have we have a sale and the summer sale, and then, Fractured Sounds had, their summer bundle, and I don't want any more, and then I buy it, and so, but yeah, sometimes, we can the latest and greatest is cool, but sometimes you have you already have it.
Mhm.
You already have it. So you just gotta learn how to put everything together and piece it all together.
That is absolutely true. So,
Mhm.
like, you can buy all the plugins you want, it's not gonna give you the skills to make it sound good.
No.
It's not gonna make it sound like a real guitar like Michael Connor does using a
Right.
VST. I still don't know how he does that.
Right, right. Yeah,
But
take
it's
your foot
true.
off the gas. I saw someone put take your foot yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah, Rich
take
Rosen.
your foot off the gas.
Yeah, I just did a whole string of like a quartet string quartet type of album,
Mhm,
and I was tempted to spend all that money on, a high-end, string library and all of that, but I just used the ones that were free or cheap
mhm,
and, did my best with it, and it came out like the quality I felt like was on par, right? So,
mhm.
it really depends on what your needs are.
Right.
You'll know when you reach that point where you're trying to produce something and you're like, this sound library just is not. I just need to upgrade to sound. You'll know that point,
Mhm,
but you got to
mhm.
try the free stuff first.
Exactly. I know.
Yeah,
I've been through so many string libraries. I'm just like, "Oh, okay. So if I get that one, okay." And then I try it. I'm like, "It
that
didn't
don't sound
sound
like
like
the
the
demo.
walkthrough." The walkthrough, he made it sound what was he doing that I'm not I got the same thing he has. Why doesn't mine sound like that? And it's like, "Oh my god."
Uh huh.
It's crazy.
And you find out it's a skill thing, not necessarily a library thing.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, or it
Yeah.
could be. Sometimes it's a library, but most of
Yeah.
the time it's
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
No, sometimes it is, but like you said, some of the times it's according to how you place them. I've learned how to
Hmm.
layer sounds,
Hmm.
especially when it comes to, like, brass. If you layer them, like, with some of the stock, and then you layer them with the good ones, you can kinda get the sound that you kinda want, and
Hmm.
then kinda add some plugins there or, your EQ and your adaptive limiters and things like that. So, you can create and you can make it sound the way you want it to sound. You just have
Hmm.
to know what you have and how to use it in order to get what you want.
Yeah. That's a good segue into some questions I wanted to ask you about AI proofing because you had that
Mhm,
post in the hub.
mhm,
Um, so, things like layering your sounds, making things sound
mhm,
human, making things sound imperfect, certain genres or like fusion of genres, all of those types of things.
right.
Um, what are your thoughts on like the future of AI and how you can AI proof your music?
Well, it's here and it's not going anywhere. So that's the first thing we have to accept. It's not going anywhere. It's here.
Hmm.
So us as composers and producers, we just have to work around it. You know, there can be and can be workarounds. Yes, it's here, and yes, it seems like it's taking over, but I don't think it's taking over 100% yet. So we just have to create our music in ways the other day I was creating something and I was using I'm such a grid person because I
Mhm,
want everything to be on beat because I'm like, it's not on beat, it's slugging a little bit. This is not, neo soul where you slug. I want it on the beat. However, in order to sound a little different, maybe it wouldn't hurt to be just a little tad, you know, um, of the beat to make it more humanistic. Because sometimes us when we're playing it, we could be, just a little tad behind, not behind like, oh, you're off beat behind, but enough to where you have a particular sound that you can get out of it. And I was playing it back and it was a cinematic piece. Um, and it was the drums, the toms. And I was just like, okay, okay. And I just kept going back and putting it on, and it's like, you know what? Let me make it, mine and allow that to what it is. And so when I played it back, even with a little bit of, I mean, just tiny minute of that, it it didn't sound as bad. And it works. It
mhm,
works. So, with AI and with it coming, and the reason why I was up late one night and I was just, researching, and I'm like, "You know what? Let me just find, the information about AI and about, how we can, have our stuff still, to still be in the game. Because sometimes people may think AI is here, well, I'm out the game, and I had that mentality last month. I'm like,
mhm.
"Well, AI is here. I'm done." You know? But
Yeah,
once I had to rethink it, and I'm like, "No, no, I'm not done. You just have to, learn how to play the game and, you know, just study it and do it better than
mhm.
AI." It may take some time, but we got it.
Yeah. Well, AI by nature is,
Mhm,
like, never innovates. All AI
mhm.
does is copy the
It's
humans that innovate, right?
Mhm. Yep.
And I always use the analogy of Taco Bell versus a Michelin star chef, right? Like, Taco Bell serves a purpose. It's the same
Mhm.
every time. If you're a streamer on YouTube, you may use a Taco Bell track or, something
Mhm.
like that, right? But
Right.
if you need something custom, you need
Yeah.
something to draw for a certain emotion from a type of scene or scored
Mhm.
a picture or any of that type of stuff, I don't think AI is quite there yet. I'm not saying it'll never be there,
Right. Right.
but it's not going to learn anything new. It's not going to create new, you know, it's not going to create new types of music, new innovations,
Mhm.
right? If AI was around in the I don't know, in the 70s, it's not going to be Stevie Wonder. You know what I mean? It's not going to invent an entire,
Right.
like new type of music, new genre, any of
Mhm.
that type of stuff. It's not
No,
going to innovate. So,
no.
yeah, we still serve a purpose, us
Yeah.
humans on this planet.
Mhm. We do. We just have to find our groove, as being, a drummer, you get to find your pocket, find that pocket, and
Yeah.
once you do, stay in the pocket.
Yes. So, let's go ahead and hop into one of your songs. So I see that we have 2 tracks. We have one called "The Entrance" and one called "The Chase."
Mhm.
Which one would you like to do first?
Let's do the entrance.
Do you have anything you wanna tell us about it?
Yes, so the reason why it's called the entrance, when I create music or even when I listen to music, I think scenes of movies. I think I think movement that goes along with it. So when I created this, my mind went to in my favorite holiday is Palm Sunday
Okay.
because of Jesus coming into Jerusalem. He's coming with the palms are being thrown.
Mhm.
And so this is his entrance. And so
Okay.
and I just made it that way. So, and there you are. So I just named it the entrance because it's Jesus coming. He's coming.
That's awesome. Well, when Miguel comes into our chat during the music review, we throw
Mhm.
palms at him. Alright.
Right.
Okay, here, I'm gonna share the screen and, let's hear the entrance. Let's go.
Oh,
I
you
got
got your horn.
yeah, I got the DJ horn. Oh, hold on, I didn't mean to start the next one. We'll get into that one in a minute. Yes, throw palm trees in the chat. If you were feeling that
Oh,
one.
oh my goodness. That's too
All right,
funny.
here we go. Yeah. Okay, let me bring the chat back up real quick. That was awesome. So, I get like my next lot of a lot of compliments coming through, a lot of fire emojis, right? Great percussion, all of that. Um, the Spanish bolero sound, I was peeping that too. So I guess like what I want to talk about next is in your form, you mentioned, "Hey, I'm not giving up yet. I'm not throwing in the towel." What have you done as far as like trying to get your stuff into sync and film so far, and then what do you plan on doing next?
Well, I've been pitching, um, and like it's always said, there's a place in a home for, for everything or for your music.
Hmm.
What I do is I research the library. I look at what's in their library. If they already have like a catalog or playlist on their website, I go and listen to what they have already. And so
Hmm.
once I listen to what they have already, I'm like, okay, so I could probably add some things to a library or a playlist they don't have a lot of. I'm like, okay, I make it, when I do the email in the pitch, I was like, okay, I see that you don't have a lot of this type of, genre or music. I have some pieces or I have some music that would work well with what you have. And then I, submit it and forget it. That's
Yeah.
what we all saying is submit it and forget it. And I've done that through, I guess this last, I guess year or two, when submitting. I have a Trello. I think started out with Trello.
Hmm.
Is it Trello or Trello?
The
It's like
project
it's
management stuff.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, Trello. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So
Yeah.
it's Trello, and so I what I do is I keep a track. I put them in there, and
Hmm.
it's like a couple of weeks ago there were some that I had submitted a year ago. I was like, oh, I submitted a year ago. Okay, well let me follow up and submit again to them, and then I go and I save libraries that I come across and to study them and do later.
Hmm.
So I have submitted and submit and forget. Now I am a part of one library, which is good. And I they do briefs, and if I feel like I can accommodate that brief, I go ahead and do it. Now there are some genres I'm like, I don't know if I can do the Vietnamese K-pop. So I was like, oh, I don't know. But if it's something that I, know and that I can do, I go for it, and I, send them things. I sent them a lot of, the crime, the true crime thing.
Mhm, yeah.
I sent an album that I did. I sent them that. Um, so and they accepted it, and I'm just like, okay. So that still just gives me more momentum to keep submitting. I've had my share of rejections, of course. Like, "No, not this time," and I've actually followed up with one that I submitted to last year, and I submitted again, and they remembered. It's like, "Yeah, you the one that sent that. We still don't, have, a need for that, but, you can check back with us in 3 months or 6 months." And
Yeah.
sometimes it helps if you just, come back to them. They might have forgotten, or they might have like, "You know what? It might be like a reminder to them and say, "Hey, remember?" And send them maybe some fresh things. So, I always say that like I'm on the slow boat right now, but I have momentum, and
Yes.
I'm just continuing on. And a placement is coming soon. I'm
Yeah.
just not gonna give up on that. A placement is coming. I'm in there. My music is being noticed. It is being heard. It just has to be the right time and the right specific project.
I'm gonna share a little bit of my story in case it helps you, because, I was in a similar boat where I had, music accepted and didn't hear anything for a long time.
Mhm.
So, back in, like, 2022, when I first took the road to 10 placements.
Mhm.
I sent out a bunch of music. I got into one music library,
Mhm.
uh, and um, after about 3 or 4 months, I was the typical, Sync Producer Hub member that shows up one day and then you never
Mhm.
see them again,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was doing other things, like I was working on some other stuff, right? Like
Mhm.
other music related stuff. And then this placement popped up in my like ASCAP one day. Or I
Mhm.
got no, it was a check. A check came in for royalties and it was like
Mhm.
$1.21. And I
Right.
was like, what is this $1.21? And so I went to like my ASCAP dashboard and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I got a placement.
Yeah.
And it was like some, it's a wrestling WWE thing.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, like, and this was like 3 years later.
Mhm.
So something you submitted that's in a library could pop up
Mhm.
on you 3
Yeah.
years later. So
Yeah.
keep that in mind if you have music with a
Yeah.
library already.
Mhm. Mhm.
And, and then, it just blew up from there. Like all these other placements started coming in. I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I better get back to this." And, this is real
Mhm.
money. So,
Yes.
um,
Absolutely.
and keep in mind that you might have something on TV right now
Mhm.
and you just don't know it.
Yeah. Yeah. I have this dream that I always wanted to be, like, in the kitchen, and then the TV's on, and then I wanna hear it's like, "Wait, wait." I always want it's like that has to happen because, like, one of the other top goals that I have is I want to have, a song on a Lifetime Movie Network, a Christmas song. You know how they have the holiday movies? Of
Yeah,
course, they're probably already showing, so either Hallmark or a Lifetime movie Christmas. That is
that's
it's
a
like
goal of yours.
that's a goal and that's a dream of mine.
Are you making a Christmas album next?
Not a out well, I submitted 2 holiday Christmas tracks to
Oh,
the
okay.
library, they accepted them. And this time around, instead of doing I opted in, for exclusive. I didn't do non, so I did
Yeah.
exclusive just to see where it would go. So
Yeah. I've only done exclusive so far. I haven't done
okay.
any non-exclusive.
This is
Um,
my first exclusive, so I was like it has me thinking. I was like, "You know what? Hmm,
okay.
let me do that." So,
A
that's probably be the first of many exclusives now.
and I've heard 2 varying opinions on something, and maybe people in the chat can, like, hop in, and maybe you have an idea as well, when it comes to submitting your music. I've heard some say it's better to send this was a debate that not a debate, but a
Mhm.
discussion that happened in our group recently with, like, Tim Bird and some other people.
Mhm.
Um, if you submit let's say you have a whole album of Christmas stuff and you wanna get on Lifetime or, get on one of those Christmas specials, and you submit 10 tracks and you have them already, the likelihood of a library might be a little bit higher to pick that up because they know it's done, and
Mhm.
they know it fits a purpose, and they have lots of tracks to select from and all of that,
Mhm.
so if it fits a need, they know it's ready to go, it might get picked up quicker because they know they don't have to wait for somebody to finish it.
Mm.
Maybe they've worked with some composers in the past who have
Mhm.
dragged their feet, never got it done, and maybe they don't want to deal with that anymore. And then, the other school of thought is, send them a variety to show the range of what you can do.
Mhm.
So, do you have any thoughts on that? Like, what might be a better way to approach a music library?
With me, I do have I've tried to stay in one lane because I can get off, like, into other it's like here and do that, do that. I've kinda narrowed it down to, like, maybe about 3 genres. I had 10, but I was like, "Well, you know what? Let me zone in on just about 3, which is holiday, the true crime, and cinematic.
Mhm,
Oh, and emotional. Piano solo emotional, which I did the New Life. So, those around that area. And I'm I'm leaning more on, submitting a handful of alike tracks
mhm.
versus, 6 tracks of one genre here, one genre, which I have done in the past before because I'm like, well, they got to know I do this, they got to know I do that. But also, I heard, I think it was yesterday on the live that if it's okay if you do that, but maybe this library send a Christmas albums to. And then this library send the emotional pianos to. And then this library send that. But make sure, in my mind, I'm like, make sure it's all piano for this one, all Christmas for this one, and all for that one. So it is possible to do, you know, um, many genres or, however many that you would like. But I just feel like if you zone in on that particular one for that library, then maybe that library can be like, oh, okay, so you're the person that we're going to call for piano emotional or for that specific genre, and you become that library's go to.
Mhm.
So, that's how I'm kinda like trying to get a approach that approach, doing that. But it can I can get sidetracked now because last week I was I was doing some of every it's like, "What am I doing? What?" Because things are coming in my head. Ideas are popping
Mhm.
in my head. I'm there playing with chords, and I'm like, "Oh my god, that's a song. Let me get it in before it leaves," because, I'm I'm like, 2 quarters and 2 pennies now, so things don't stay in my brain too long. So, I'm
Yeah.
just like, "Let me do it now." I have, memo notes of, things that I've, little melodies that I've started, so
Yeah.
we
That's
shall see.
I tend to agree with you. I think it's better to send it all of one type, and then,
Mhm,
if they don't bite, if they're like, "We don't need that type of music," you can
mhm,
always come back with a different style of music next time, when
mhm.
you're coming with your next project. So
Exactly.
I agree with that way. Maybe
Mhm.
we can get a music library, like, owner, in one of these interviews with Clint one day and, kinda get it from the horse's mouth. But yeah, that's awesome. Um,
Awesome.
one other thought, I don't know, just because you're a choir director and,
Mhm,
at your church,
mhm.
have you ever thought about as we talk about, like, AI proofing your music, one thing it can't do is sing to Jesus. Like,
Oh,
AI
okay.
can't do that, right?
Uh-huh.
Have you ever thought about involving your choir or recording, like, some vocals or something like that on, any of your stuff? I mean, I don't think it may not be right to profit off of that. It might be better to send the funds back into the church or
Mhm,
into a charity or something
mhm.
like that, but I was just
Right.
curious if you ever thought about doing that.
Vocals on my music, I've thought about it, but
Mhm,
my strength in doing vocals, especially, like, with the mixing part, is not as strong as instrumental.
mm,
I do like to sing, and I still sing now. But I've never even when I was playing at the church, I never saw myself as a being a singer
mhm,
out front. It's like, "No, I don't wanna be on stage. I don't wanna be" I can be on stage like a karaoke or like, at little parties my friends have, that I can do, but
mhm,
nothing, is like mainstream to be out in front of people.
mhm.
Because it's different now. I mean, if this was back in, I guess, say, the early 2000s or something like that, yeah, maybe, but now, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
I've thought about doing some, like, adding vocals to my music, as far as, like, background. You know how you have the vocals? Oh, I forgot what that, it's by Heaviosity, and I think it's called it starts with an S.
I don't remember right I know
You
somebody in the
do?
chat will say it, though.
Oh, well, it's, Vocalese, it's similar to Vocalese.
Okay, alright.
That
Yep.
that type of Vocalese type of things, I mean, I probably can do some of my own just to say it's me and it's mine so that, I won't have the probability of saying, "Well, that came from Heaviosity, you can't use it, blah, blah, blah."
Mhm.
So, but I've thought about doing that for myself, for my own stuff.
Okay.
It was just a thought, but, I'm not quite sure, how I would do that. And,
I gotcha.
I mean, I could do it and then everything blows up and it's like, "Oh, I everybody's requesting me? What?"
Oh, I
So
don't really sing like that.
exactly, it's like, I can do it, but, I don't know.
I've heard, trailer producers use
Mhm.
vocal plugins as part
Yeah,
of their stuff, and hasn't been any, uh, copyright or
okay.
infringement issues or anything like
Mhm,
that. That might be a
mhm,
question for Clint, but
right,
I believe you can use those vocal plugins for
mhm,
that type of stuff, so
okay. Yeah, especially, like, with the oohs and ahs and and things like that, that type of things. But sometimes I probably wanna get, a little bit more creative and, start stacking, like, the harmonizations of things like that. So, you know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
in my pocket. I just hadn't, thought about, doing it or bringing it out there.
yeah. All right, well, let's hop into your the chase. Do you wanna tell us about well, it's THUH chase.
Yeah,
You
the
wanna
chase.
yeah, the chase.
So, um, Clint may remember this was this was my first piece that I submitted in the live chat. And
Mhm.
so now I've kinda, like, remastered it and I know a little bit more now than I did back then. So, but yeah, the chase is like, you see a chase scene, um, you know, in, um, in the Middle Eastern area. It has a Middle Eastern feel, uh,
Okay.
to it and things like that. So, it is what it is. It's the chase, and they're being chased.
This was the first one you ever submitted, is that what you said? Or
Yep.
oh, wow, okay.
Mhm.
How when did you make this track?
It's 2025. Um,
Yeah?
so it was probably 2022.
2022.
Mhm.
Alright, let's do it. Let me share the screen, and I will bring up the chase. Let's go. Here we go. Alright,
Your
yes.
horn now.
That was definitely a chase. That kinda reminds me of something, I I think sometimes, I don't know if we've talked about this in the hub or not, but I the title of your track is probably more important than we think it is.
Mhm,
Because if you put yourself, like, in a music editor's shoes or a coordinator or supervisor, whoever's picking the music, when they're searching for music, that's
mhm.
the first thing they're gonna see, right? So, it might be worth considering even retitling it because, I mean, I know it's the chase, right? And it's definitely a chase, but
Mhm,
it has those Middle Eastern, elements in it. It has, some, like, deep bass 808 type stuff going on with it as
mhm,
well.
mhm.
It's got that, like, lush string intro to build the drama before we get to the chase. I
Right.
don't know, I mean, I can't think of a great name for it right now, but it's hard to come up with a short name that says everything that that track is that they would be able to spot as they're scrolling through a list of, like, 100 different tracks, you know what I mean?
Mhm,
Um, it just made me think of that because that's an amazing track, but if there's 50 of them called The Chase,
mhm.
you
Yeah,
know what I mean? They may not listen to it, so,
yeah.
I don't know, just food for thought. What are your thoughts on that?
It's funny that you say because it was named something else before it was the Chase,
Mhm,
and, I had 2 names. I had Tension because, again, at the time, I was still green. This was
mhm.
2023. So, it was called Tension,
Yeah.
and then I think I named it Bali, Bali, like Bali.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Mhm. And then I just because of whole the movement and the horns and everything, I was like, "Oh, this is more of a chase." And because, now it has an intro, I have that 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 specific track would be with intro, and then I have it without intro. So, if their editors don't want the string part, then they could have the one with no intro. So this is the
Gotcha.
track with intro, and then I have another track without intro. Um, but yeah, I have with especially with naming, I try to name names of tracks that have at least the first 10 letters of the alphabet, only because I have heard that when you name them with the A, B, or C, music supervisors will put them in alphabetical order.
Really?
Yes, they will put them
Huh.
in alphabetical order because they'll get a lot of emails from, from different composers. And if you name your, names with letters at least, with, like if it's a E, of course they're gonna put E, it's gonna be at the top, of course, and then if you put, A, of course, it's gonna be at the top. So if we could
Yeah.
be cognizant of how we name our tracks and, of how because that's probably how they're gonna be putting them in order when they're organizing their emails,
Huh. I never
or
thought
when they're
about that either. Yeah.
when they're organizing their music. Yep.
Uh, Michael Connor has oh, sorry, you're Michael Mick Connor now, officially.
Michael M Connor.
He had a suggestion, Marrakesh Madness. That's a pretty good name, but
Mm.
it doesn't follow the ABC rule that we just went over. That's cool.
Right, right.
Yeah, and you blew his mind, so that's good to know.
Yeah, he had a
Alright.
reference of, yeah, I did think of Richard Smallwood,
Oh,
McDonald.
yeah, yeah.
I did because he's a favorite of mine of, when it comes to gospel because he mixes his classically trained, repertoire within his music. So, that right there, especially, like, with the entrance too, you think there was a song that Richard Smallwood did, it was called The Anthem,
Mm,
and they played that it's played, like, in different churches, during Easter on Palm Sunday, actually.
okay.
And it's called, The Anthem. So, that's where some of the strings, come from that inspiration right there.
Awesome. Cool. Well, let's so, we're getting towards the end of the interview. I don't know. I don't know why I call it an interview. I'm just talking to you. Interview sounds like you're trying to get a job, then I don't know.
I know, 'cause I was telling some friends, and I was telling, like, my sisters, and it's like, "Hey, I have an interview." It's like, "Oh, you getting a new job?" "No." It's, it's something else. It has to do with my music, 'cause they think when you say interview, people think job.
I know.
So
I
yeah.
should call this something different, and then a spotlight sounds like an interrogation. Maybe
Right,
we'll
right.
rename this, I don't know.
Mhm, mhm,
But we're getting towards the end, so normally what I like to focus on at the end of an interview or the our conversation
mhm.
is the future. So what do you have plans? Like I know you were talking about you wanted to talk a little bit about your album that you're putting together, New Life. What was
Mhm.
the inspiration for that? What do you plan on doing with that? And what's in the future for you?
Well, with New Life, I am pitching that album to some libraries, and, if they if the album doesn't get picked up or anything, I'm just gonna release it on the platforms, just distribute it out like that.
Mhm.
New Life is all about it it's all about, new life, having to deal with, the new life of a newborn. That's why the titles are, the way they are. There was and again, that's me seeing it in a movie, and you're hearing the different tracks that I have, especially like for the baby's first car ride. You think about when the parents are getting ready to go, and they put the little one in the car seat, and they put the car seat in the back seat. The music is playing and everything like that. And then
Mhm.
they close the door, and on the way home, it's from the baby's perspective. They're looking out of the window and, they don't know exactly what they're like looking looking at because, of course, they're newborn. But
Mhm.
it's, if you can imagine you sitting in the car seat and, nowadays they turn the car seat around to where the baby's facing the actual seat, right? And so
Mhm.
they could see out of the window. And so they're seeing the trees as they go home. So that tune is for that. And then for push, it's you would think it's tense, it has the ticking in the background if you go back and listen to that.
Mhm.
Push is about, delivery and the labor. And I see it as it's in slow motion and the music is playing, but there's a certain part in there I've switched it to a minor key, and something happens. Something happens. The baby is breached, so they have to go in and turn the baby around, and so that music right there signifies that change. And then
Mhm.
I go back because the doctors have fixed it. They turned the baby around, then they go back to that major key and to that. So that's how, uh, again, my mind thinks in movies. And
Mhm.
so I created that, having movie scenes in my head. And what's for the future, I'm just, creating. I do have some ideas that I am playing around with when it comes to, I do voiceovers. Um, Not 100%, but I did one, book. I think it was last year. I did my first audiobook. Wasn't me as the author, but they sought me. I was on, ACX, which is a
Mhm.
platform for voiceover artists. And so, you know, I really am, trying to do that, but using my own music in the background. So that's
Ah.
going to tie them together. And so if I do, especially with the new life, I could, and it's about newborns and about babies and about, the first, time they come into the world. Well, I can use my voice and with my music in the background as well. So
Mhm.
that's, that's where I'm looking at in the future, and still, plugging away at my own music and to be, picked up and, hopefully and prayerfully in a movie or somewhere. Even if they don't speak English, I don't it's any
Yeah.
I know a couple of, producers have their, placements in, somewhere in Germany. I'm like, "Well, hey, wherever they
Yeah.
get it."
You brought up a really interesting, point that I think every sync producer should or anybody that wants to get their music into TV and film and, video games and all that kind of stuff should listen very carefully to, because you said when you think in movies, when you
Mhm,
create your music, you think in pictures, you think of scenes, you think of certain emotions. and that gets you really specific on what you're creating.
Mhm.
Um, that is that is a gem. I don't know. That's a lot of gems that you just dropped. And I hope people were listening because I just soaked that up as well. Because
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes like I have a little TV over in this part of my room where I
Mhm.
play. Like if I'm working on a sports track, I'll play
Mhm.
sports.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? If I'm working on this, crime, I'll put like the ID channel on over there, that type of stuff.
Mhm.
Um, to do that, to put the pictures in my head and make sure that the moods match.
Mhm.
Um, so I think that's some great advice. So thank you very much for that.
Oh, no problem. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, real quick, if anybody's watching this, um, and you are somebody who is a music producer, you've thought about getting your stuff into TV and film, but you've never actually tried, or maybe you tried and you gave up and that type of thing. We are all part of a community here called the Sync Producer Hub. It's run by Anthony Clint Jr. And we are getting our music into TV and film, and we're helping each other do it. So if you're interested in that, there is a link in the description. Just go check it out. Go check out the hub. We want to see you there so you can actually start making money for that from that music in your hard drive. Zimzada, thank you so much for your time. Do you have any parting words, shout outs, anything like that that you want to share?
Everybody just keep plugging away. Stay in the pocket. Just stay right there. Stay where you are. It's not as bad as you think it is. So
Yep.
just keep plugging away. And if it is bad, so what? Make it better.
Amen. That is some good advice. All
Mhm.
right. Well, thank you so much. Hub, we'll see you around. And if you're not in the hub,